Howdy folks, it's Brian here. Today I've got a little video on my cold steel collection up to this point. And basically, you know what, these cold steel knives are kind of in a category of their own. They're pretty proud of their knives because they know they have a good product that's unique. And you're not going to find any competitors to this one right here. I guarantee you, it's one of a kind. And even this one here, in the smaller size, is still in a class of its own compared to other pocket knives, as far as I'm concerned. But these are weapons, you know. That's what they are to me, anyway, for a knife collection or whatever. But they're designed to be defensive or tactical type weapons. I would feel pretty confident carrying any of these three knives into combat. I especially like this little Voyager. This is the Voyager XL in plain clip point. You could go with the Espada with the same blade length, but to be honest with you, as strong as this little knife is built with the aluminum, full-length aluminum liners and everything, this really is about half the price of the Espada in the same size, and I really like this little knife. I've actually considered buying another one just as a backup to it. This would make an excellent carry knife on a budget compared to the if you carried this in the Espada, you're talking for the regular, I don't know, even the, let me think here. Then the regular Espada, the more expensive product line made with the G10 and the aluminum bolsters and all that, you'd be looking for $200 for a knife similar to this in the more expensive version of the Espada in that size. So considering you can pick this one up for 25 or a quarter of the cost of that, and basically have a pretty similar knife. This is the way to go as far as I'm concerned, you know, on my budget. You know, if I can spend a little over $50 for this as opposed to $200 for the Espada, this is a tough little knife. I actually, you know, it's got a little thicker handle, but this one up here is the Espada. I'm sure most people will recognize that. This is the Espada Extra Large, but you can see that Voyager and the Espada, or you can see they're kind of a similar design. But this Voyager is made out of Grivory, the handle, and this is made out of G10. So actually the handle's a little flatter on this, but this Grivory, I'm telling you what, this stuff feels like, well, you know, I have an engineering technical background, and what I would call this is phenolic, industrial grade phenolic. And I'm impressed with it. I almost would be wondering, you know, if the Grivory version of, if you made this out of Grivory, if it wouldn't be stronger than the G10. I don't know. They claim, now that they're making this, they claim that the Grivory is stronger than G10. Or maybe it's Zytel. Maybe it's Zytel they claim it's stronger than, so I might be wrong on that. But you compare this little fixed blade. This is the new Leatherneck SF here, which is just similar to a K-bar, only it's got a, I'd consider this a better handle. I'm not an expert on this knife by any means. It's about a 7-inch blade. I don't know where I'm getting the impression, but I've heard that this is like Grivory with craton around it or something, which is pretty good, I would think. So it's got a machined steel pommel on it that's pretty wicked. But this is called the Leatherneck SF. I saw a guy go out on a YouTube video. I saw him go out in the woods and go hacking around on that, and he hit a knot in about a 5-inch diameter log. he hit a knot in there, and he took a big old freaking quarter-sized chunk out of the end of this blade. This is SK5. Here again, not being an expert by any means, I still wonder, I'd almost rather have this knife in AUS 8. SK5 is, you know, is a harder steel, I think, and it's, you go out there trying to baton with it and stuff, and I don't know. Like I say, from the video I saw, this guy, he took it out. It was a brand new knife. It had never been out. It didn't have a mark on it. He took it out there, and the first time he tried to baton with it, he took a chip out of the blade the size of a freaking quarter. So, like I say, for the type of knife it is, now it might be okay if you just used it as a fighter, or if you were real careful with it out in the bush for survival. But like I said, I'm a little bit critical of the fact I think maybe AUS 8A would have been a better choice of steel for an outdoor knife like this. But hey, you know what? They know what they're doing, so. You know, if it chips, it's got a lifetime warranty. I won't hesitate to send it back to them for what they charge for their product. They're really good knives. I mean, they make great knives. They're great design. They're industrial quality knives by and large. But I guarantee you, if I do something, I expect a knife like that to go out and you should be able to baton through some, you should be able to baton wood with it without any trouble. I mean, you buy a knife like this, you expect it to do. It's a survival knife, basically, as far as I'm concerned. But it comes with a little Secure X sheath, they call it, which is a nice sheath. The only concern about it is back here where these rivets come through. They're actually screwed in from the front. You can disassemble it. It's got screws on this side, but over this side, they flattened it out, with these washer type grommets. But I still am a little concerned about wear in this area, causing stress fractures on this plastic over time. And I don't know if you can see that, but they've actually got some holes punched out here, just for the way they designed the sheath. They've got some holes punched out there right in a location that's going to further exacerbate the chance of that cracking. You got a very thin sheet of plastic there that could crack through, I would think, with use. Like I say, hey, I'm a newbie. I'm definitely not an outdoorsman, but I'm just saying, there's not a whole lot of plastic right there. That's a bad place to put that slot, I'm telling you that for sure. But who knows, maybe not an issue. It's a really nice sheath other than that. I will, if I see something, I think is a design problem, I will knock it. If you don't believe that, just watch my video I did on on my little carry knife that I carry quite a bit, that little SOG Trident. It's a really nice design. It's a high-tech knife, but it's got a couple issues, and if you watch my video on that, you'll see that I don't pull any punches. Even though I carry it, and I do like it a lot, and I carry it on a daily basis a lot, but there is some issues I think could be addressed with it. So anyway, choice of steel in this knife might be an issue. Like I said, if you were just using it, carrying it for use as a combat knife, it might be alright. I don't know though, it may still have a tendency to chip, if you're banging up against another knife. I don't know. It should hold an edge extremely well with that steel, but this one here is AUS 8A, and I believe this one is AUS 8 also. I don't know if it's AUS 8A or not, but this has that freaking almost galvanized finish that's smashed. This stuff is very rust resistant. But you'll find it's such a piece of steel. Like I said, I've said in my other separate video on this knife, this steel is similar to very expensive boat docks. About the most expensive boat docks you can buy are made out of that steel, just like that. It's smashed like that so they don't rust. Yeah, and that's with water and everything's splashing up on them. I've seen docks like this last 30, 40 years and not rust. And it looks very similar, the way that steel's manufactured. But anyway, you got a 7.5 inch blade on this puppy. You got a 5.5 inch, I think, on this one. I wish I could hold the knife. I wish I could hold this. I really need a tripod, although the camera doesn't have a tripod mount, so that I don't know how much good a tripod would really do me. Otherwise, I'd already have one. But these two knives, I can just tell you that they're both really beefy the way they're designed. The blades are similar thickness, really. This one might be a little bit beefier, but the handle design's a little thinner on this G10 than it is on this Voyager. But I really like this Voyager, man. This thing's really light. It's about a third the weight of the Espada. Of course, it doesn't have the capabilities the Espada does, but for the weight for a carry knife, unless you're really expecting trouble or you're, like I said, in some kind of combat. But I'd feel confident carrying this in a combat situation. It actually makes a very good, it makes a very good, you can see there, let me move these up here, but let me tell you right now, that little Voyager, when you line those up there, that little Voyager gives you about the same reach as that 7-inch fixed blade. And of course the Espada XL just dwarfs it in every way. Dwarfs both of the other two. But Cold Steel makes some nice stuff. I really like them. They're, like I say, they're weapons. I'd call these, I really do. I think the word combat would be the way I would describe these knives. That's what's special about them. You've got defensive grade knives, and there's a lot of those out there. I'd feel comfortable just carrying as a just in case, kind of scenario in, urban settings, where you might carry the dang thing for 10 years and never need it, which is my situation most of the time. But like I say, this some of these Cold Steel options I would definitely consider. Like I say, I love this little Voyager XL for the money. That's really the carry knife to have right there. If you're carrying it for defensive purposes, if you're just carrying it for utility purposes and you're not carrying it as a defensive weapon, then there's other lighter choices. You don't need that big of a blade. You don't need to be carrying that size of knife around just for utility. But if you are carrying it for defensive use, I guarantee you whip out that little XL, that Voyager XL, snap that thing open. The only thing that's going to do any better in intimidation is this Espada XL. I seem to like the XLs, don't I? Yeah, I do. Anyway, that's my Cold Steel collection up to this point. Like I said, have some other makes of knives and stuff, and these are very concealable, these folders, and I would call them, like I said, almost military or combat grade weapons. They're folders, and you could conceal them so well. This thing here is going to be hanging on your side. You know what? If I was going with a knife like this, would this be the one I chose? Maybe not. This is a brand new design. It's on the back of the Cold Steel catalog. And I just thought I'd give it a try. Is it as good or better than a K-bar? I really don't know. K-bar's awful tried and tested. And after seeing that video where that guy takes a big chunk out of the blade with his first batoning, kind of makes me wonder, about it. So anyway, but as far as the folders, you ain't going to find anything to compete with these that I know of out there. Now, there's several knives like this, maybe even better knives. Like I say, I might choose the SOG or the K-bar or any other myriad of knives when it comes to a fixed blade, this design. But when you're talking this kind of folder or combat style or weapon type folders, there's nobody that can compete with Cold Steel that I know of. They're unique. So anyway, that's the Cold Steels I got. I can't afford the more expensive versions, so I've kind of gone with the value way of getting some of their better products. This right now, I think this Voyager XL and the 5.5 inch blade, I think this is the most cost-effective, best product they sell from what I've seen for the price. If I didn't have any other cold steel knife, this is the one I would buy right here. This puppy here is just over $50. And like I say, you're going to be looking at the Espada, you're looking at, even in the G10 model, you're looking at 100 or over 100 for the G10 model of this. And the Espada at the same size. So, and if you go with the higher priced version of the Espada, you know, like I say, you're $200 for basically a very similar knife, almost, you know, very similar. I don't know if I could justify. The Espada is a beautiful knife, especially that one that's all polished up and stuff. But you know what? Like I said, for the budget I'm on, this is the way to go. Yeah. So if you're just now looking at cold steel, this is a knife I would consider as one of my first purchases, because for the money, that is, this is a better folder, or more formidable and combat style folder than probably 95% of all the other folders on the market by any manufacturer, and all for $50. And some of them dang pocket knives, I know you've probably been out there looking at Benchmades and stuff. So they want $150, $200 for some of those pocket knives. And you know what? This is a pretty dang nice weapon here. All three of these are nice knives. So good job, Cold Steel. I may get a couple more of their products. I'm not gonna. I could, you know, if I had an endless bank account, I could have a heyday. But I'm pretty happy with the collection I've got right now. I've got about 55 in this one. I've got about 135 in this one, and 55 in this one. So I've got one about 110 to about 245 right here on the table, which isn't bad because that's just over the price of one Espada in the fancy version of this size. I got all three of these. So anyway, that's my Cold Steel collection up to this point. Thanks for watching.